Well then, looks like we come across into ourselves 3 rivals all in one event, which appears to be Winter Sports Champion Race. So, yeah, that seems very bizarrely enough to end this off. Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Joel here, and I'm Blue here. We are from the likes of the Muxy Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Mario and Sonic at the Sochi 2014 Olympic Winter Games for the Nintendo Wii U. So, last time we had a pretty decent time during the films of Area 5, despite there are some technical hiccups here and there. So today, this will be the grand finale of this game's Let's Play, while going through the final area in the game, known as Area 6. So, unlike in any other areas throughout the game, is that for one, you can now actually access to all 20 of those playable characters, except the actual Mii characters for sure, but and another noticeable difference, as you can tell, is going to take place only in one event, which appears to be on one dream event, and that appears to be Winter Sports Champion Race. So for this finale event right there, we'll go ahead and select Mario because, as you can see on that specific cutscene, as you can tell, the rivals we're going to be competing against are 3 of them this time around. So we have Rouge and Eggman Nega from the Sonic universe, and as well from that, Dry Bowser from the Mario universe. So we figure we might as well play as Mario in the end, because we'll make it fair between 50-50 when it comes to Mario and Sonic characters shown on one event. So, plus because of how the fact that Mario is just such an iconic video game character of all time. So, yeah, throughout the years, ever since in 1985, and all that stuff. So even then though, whoever finds out during the films of in 2020 that we might actually celebrate for 35 years of Super Mario Bros. Series as a result. But then again, we'll find out in the future though. But for now on though, let's dive right into the films of, well, Winter Sports Champion Race. And this takes place in, I would say, mini Russia Island. So even then though, that seems very convenient, that is. And also, I like how the fact that, well, it usually starts off that we actually get onto the forms of the aircrafting vehicle. You know, it kind of reminds me of something related to that beginning portion. And you know, in Mario Kart 8 Racetrack, during the forms of Star Cup and Mount Wario, that it starts off with the actual airplane helicopter section. Well, after that though, then you can simply just get onto the actual linear track by simply able to go through different sections or what have you. But in here, basically the biggest difference is here is the fact that obviously we're not racing on go-karts. So instead, in this event in particular, it does have 4 different types of gears that we might actually come across into. So, for instance, for example, we always start things up with skiing to begin with. But as you can see on these little gates and all that stuff, well, not at the moment right now, but until later on though, because at this point in time, that the ultimate goal is pretty much the same. So basically we need to aim for first place to win. So as you can see with these gates here, as you can see, they have question marks on them, which means it's all randomized every time you're able to actually replay this event. Such as, for instance, we got ourselves a snowboard. So even then, it's all pretty much randomized though. It depends on what gates you're going to be going through, such as the forms of either snowboard or skis, or bobsled if you want to able to prefer that, or skates, or ice skaters as far as I'm aware. However though, my personal favorite gear out of them all though will probably have to be snowboard because of how fast and accelerating that is. Plus with the actual drifting thing we're going to be on about for hours on one end. So even then, I highly recommend you go for a snowboard for these event segments like this. Because as far as I'm aware, my least favorite gears will have to be by the forms of, well, I will classify for saying bobsled might be the worst option. So because of this, because it's my personal preference, especially noticeable how the fact that some people seem to have their different opinions on them. But it's entirely up to you though. So even then though, you can be able to choose between 4 of those different gears as much as you want. But then again, it's all randomized. So yeah, there's nothing, not much else to really say about this here. In fact, this is actually the event that has been playable back in E3 2013, alongside with the forms of bobsled, as well as the forms of snowboard cross, because as far as I'm aware, because they're actually trying to make capabilities of, you know, the Wii U gamepad's features, as well as the ones in the Wii Remote Plus, if you will. So, yeah, there's not much else we can able to discuss upon Blue. So even then, though, that's as far as memories goes for this event. That's all I can really say about for this event. It's pretty cool though, but then again though, that what really kills the events though is of course motion controls to begin with, because well, there's also plenty of times though, as you can see right there, that some of these physics might actually get a little bit sped out, but most of the time though, I'm pretty much alright with it. But most of the time, if you really want to go fast, especially noticeable on the snowboarding sequence here, or if you really want to go for a snowboard gear, sometimes though, that the physics might actually become slightly off a little bit, or even then though, that I think I'm simply to say that, yeah, easily the recommendable gear you can able to utilize of is of course the snowboard itself, because that way it makes it so much easier to win races such as this. So, naturally speaking, all we need to do is just basically get towards to the very end, and boom! We're actually pretty much done with the forms of Area 6, because we're not kidding that, you know, this is the only event we're going to be playing on, because, you know, we're actually going to be competing against with those 3 rivals all at once, which is kind of cool, but even then, though, that's as far as we can able to say about it, and a new record to able to conclude on, so I guess we should probably save that as the new forms of the network uploading, records for that regard. And yeah, it looks like, yeah, these 3 didn't do anything at all, so even then I'm pretty sure because Snowboard did manage to dominate this basically. So yeah, let's watch the ending of Mario and Sonic at the Sochi 2014 Olympic Winter Games after this little results screen, and once again we got an A+ effort. So anyways, let's watch the ending to the actual well, the Legend Showdown basically. So let's see how good that is. And I'm not even kidding, this is how the game ends, with some sort of like a nice view at the actual night in the sky, but that's as far as memories goes. The actual plot is just, well, it's just there, because basically the entire objective is just basically we need to, you know these 5 keys that we've gone through? That basically unlocks the Legends Trophy, and that's as far as the actual plot goes. That was it. So yeah, it is a little bit there for the sake of the forms of the actual story as far as this is concerning with, but either way though, there's not much else we can say about it. So let's give my final thoughts, or our final thoughts, of Mario and Sonic at the Sochi 2014 Olympic Winter Games. Now, if I recall correctly, back in June forms of 2014, that despite the fact that that particular Let's Play is no longer there, that we did say about the fact that this is our least favorite Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games kind of games, most notably because that, well, let's get into the positive things out of the way first. The visuals do look very good, especially notable on the Wii U title, despite with deaths and all that stuff. At least it's about time that we've now finally got ourselves a Mario and Sonic Olympic Games on HD for the first time on the Wii U, which is pretty cool, but seemingly to say is that, you know, despite the Wii U's selling points is actually a miserable failure, but despite that, however, though, it is a pretty good experience where it comes to it back in the day, during in 2012 to 13 especially, and even 2014 because of Mario Kart 8 and Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U managed to came along. But apart from everything else though, I seemingly enjoyed the music in this. It feels kind of like, almost like a wintry vibe, and it's also because of how the fact that this game did manage to bring back so many elements from the previous games for sure, such as the forms of the returning Mario and Sonic remakes musics and all that stuff. That I believe in order to actually just unlock them is by simply completing challenges in your Mario and Sonic TV channels and stuff. I think it's in channel 4 if I recall. So yeah, because that's as far as I can usually remember for that specific stuff. And despite that, however, though, I'm still classified for saying about the fact that originally that Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games was definitely the weakest spot when it comes to the forms of the entire series. At least I will defend Mario and Sonic at the Sochi 2014 Olympic Winter Games for only one thing alone, and that is, of course, they actually include the Dream events, because, well, I just really hate the fact that in Rio 2016, does manage to able to cut off, well, a lot of everything, like the lack of, well, playable modes and also lack of dream events, although it does manage to have ourselves extra playable characters and stuff like that, but only takes part in guests instead of like fully playable characters in all these events. But there are still some negative things about the forms of Sochi 2014 compared to everything else, is that, well, as I mentioned it before, motion controls for the Wii Remote Plus, especially noticeable with the Wii U gamepad, can be pretty darn sensitive at times, especially noticeable if you really want to go through specific tricks on snowboards and stuff like that. And also another thing is the fact that the single player campaign, it is alright. I mean, it's not the best single player experience that we've ever experienced of. That belongs to the forms of the best Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games single player experience on festival mode, because you have 17 days before the actual closing ceremony is about to be end. So even then though, and also I've realized about something, is the fact that this game does have pretty much lacking when it comes to the forms of CGI openings, especially noticeable with the endings itself as well, which can be followed up in the forms of Rio 2016, and especially noticeable with the most recent game, Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. But anyway though, and also another thing is worth mentioning though, is the fact that sometimes the replay value, or especially noticeable that this is the first Mario and Sonic game to also feature online play. However though, unlike in Tokyo 2020, that it does have superior online, despite with the lackiness is involved right now, this game only has like 4 events in Journey Online play, which I found is very limited in comparison to the forms of Tokyo 2020. So even then though, because we'll discuss more on that until when Mario and Sonic were able to discuss on that whenever they do that Let's Play around the same time as Tokyo 2020 starts. But I digress. And I suppose the final negative thing about this is that, well, I think simply to say that this game does have a lack of charm to it compared to the forms of the previous 2 games for sure, most notably with London 2012 and especially noticeable with Vancouver 2010, but it still does have its charm because of Sonic colors and especially noticeable with Super Mario 3D Land, or even some of these Dream Events fan services alike. But it's just that the Dream Events aren't that much in comparison to the previous games somehow. Yeah, I think that's the only thing that's a little bit of a nitpicking with that point. But regardless of such like this, I think this will actually become mark of my second lowest game in the series, because even then the lowest one was obviously Rio 2016 because of lack of motion controls and stuff. So yeah, that concludes our Let's Play of Mario and Sonic at the Sochi 2014 Olympic Winter Games. So this is me, Joel, and Blue here from the Maxi Toys, and it's Christmas Eve, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll meet you guys until 2 days time before we do the Christmas video. So see you then. Bye.